Welcome to take
No.
two of Weathering with You.
We did it once already. We'll do it again. Ahoy, everyone. Welcome back to Anime Fix. You have myself,
Hello.
Chase, and...
This is Lance. Hello.
Hi, Lance. You sound amazing. We were having some audio issues at the very beginning of this. But I realized I have to do updates, which is a crazy thing that computers have to do. Makes no sense. What are we talking about today, Lance?
We are going to talk about Weathering with You.
Yeah. Did you watch it last night, you said, right?
I did watch it last night. Do you remember do you remember why I said we should watch it after something you said last week?
I think we were talking about we should watch it the night before instead of watching it the same day because it's so long, right?
No. Last week, you said you wished Your Name had a sequel.
Oh,
said, yeah. So,
I mean, that was cool when it happened, but we'll get in that later. But I was like, oh wow, look who it is! Look who it is! But yeah, it was. I called you right after I finished it at like 11:30 or 12, and I wanted to talk about all the things, but I couldn't because we had to save it for today. But I'm like, I want to talk about all the things.
Yeah, this is a first for me, or this is new for me. Something that I saw before you. So
yeah, well, that's because you jumped right into the sequel, and I was like, I don't want to be let down by the Weathering with You movie from Your Name, and. And so this is the only thing I think we discussed last night was which one did I like better, right? Weathering with You or Your Name. And to start it off, it's a tough one because I just watched Weathering with You, so like it's fresh. I'm still trying to think about it and trying to be like, I don't know, but then like I watched I think I watched the trailer or like some reruns. I watched Sparkle, the main song. I watched the orchestra of it, and like the background was playing, like where Mitsuha is running through the town trying to get everyone to evacuate, and I'm sitting there like, God, I don't know. Sparkle
soundtrack.
The soundtrack's so much better, but I'm just sitting there like, I think I'm thinking Weathering with You is a little bit better just because I just watched it. But going back to Your Name, I think it still slightly eases it out for me. And also, I think Your Name's better. But Weathering with You is a close second. I'll say that.
It's a close second. I would never say that. Yeah, it's not better. I would say they're on par for different reasons. It's kind of the final score. It makes them even. Your Name is stronger in some areas.
Yeah.
And Weathering You is stronger in some areas. I think Weathering with You, for me, is more of a gut punch on the emotion side because of the main character. The boy.
Hodoka.
Hodoka. Mm-hmm.
You just watched it last night.
I know. I'm so bad with names. But it was more of a gut punch because that voice actor and the way that they wrote that role really hammers home the sort of, I'm a teenager, everything is the most important thing on the planet, and you being the adult, you don't understand. And
I really hate that. I really do.
Yeah. And so like it really hit home for me because like I'm not a teenager anymore, but I still very much remember almost too vividly that feeling.
Yeah, so it's and it really expresses that feeling as their kids. I mean, like, granted they're kids, but like they're 15, 16. That's kind of the age where like you can make adult decisions and suffer those consequences and live with those consequences, right? And I wrote down a bunch of that stuff too, like the premise of the movie, the messages trying to send across and stuff like that. But one thing before we actually get into the movie, I think Tori is the one that asked the good question of, did I cry in this one, right? Or did I tear up? And I'm like, well, that's a really good point because I don't think I did. I was on the verge of it, but like with Your Name, when I watched it the very first time, I was really tearing up at parts. um, just because of the motions, that it made me feel on that part. But Wedding with You, it was close, but it never got there. So I thought that was why I was thinking Your Name would be a little bit better, anyways. But
what's interesting for me is I had the same experience where I teared up more in Your Name than Weathering with You, but it was, and maybe you have the same experience with this. It's really closely associated with the music.
Yeah, it really is.
When you see with the scene that is happening, what music is overlaid that really kind of what brings it out. And Your Name has the much better soundtrack, and so I think that might be part of it.
If you put the main song from Your Name, Sparkle, over the Wedding with You, where he's running on the tracks and stuff like that, I think that might make it slightly that much better. I don't know. Who knows? It's never gonna happen. Cool. But yeah, I wrote down a bunch of stuff.
Let's why don't you start? I'll jump in because this is, you haven't seen him before. It's more fresh. I don't have I don't have nearly as many notes because
I got 4 pages of notes.
Also,
let me go through all 4 pages, but
explain why. I told you this last night, but let me explain. The reason why I didn't take as many notes is because as I was watching, so this is kind of a recent thing. I've personally started to get more interested in like pastel colors and like that nature sort of theme. And so when I was watching it, I felt like there was a strong emphasis in the artwork, kind of stuff in this movie. And so like I didn't want to miss it because I was taking notes. So for me this time when I watched it, I was more focused on actual art of it. Like I was watching the movie, but the art was really what drew me in. So I kind of like put my notebook down and said, I'm just going to watch this. And so I was very happy when you said I have 4 pages of notes. I was like, thank goodness.
Thank goodness you don't have to write anything down. I don't know. So like, I totally agree with you on the artwork and on the animation part of it. And, he did such an amazing job in Your Name as well. But I think Weathering with You kind of beats it out. The second thing I wrote down is actually the animation is flawless and the artwork is flawless. And then the beam of light in the sky and the building, that's the first thing that you see when the movie starts up, and you're like, wow, this is Tokyo. And you saw Tokyo in Your Name, but like this is really, really Tokyo, It did kind of have like a mystery, I thought, because I wrote down what is going on. I have no idea what's going on.
What was your so when you first saw that she, you hear the stories and like the sort, like the writers, they write sort of like mythos, for like I imagine tabloid type articles. What did you think when you actually saw that she was a Sunshine Girl? When she like was leaned down and did that prayer, and then all of a sudden the light came out.
Oh, you mean at the very beginning when she walks through the shrine?
Well, not then. More when Hodaka and her are walking, and she goes, "Would you like it to rain, or would you like it to would you like it to stop raining?" Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
When he first goes, "You're a real Sunshine Girl."
Oh yeah, when he first meets Hina, I was like, well, I mean, cool, because I watched a lot of trailers and I watched a lot of that stuff, when it was coming out, and I think it came out last year, 2020 or 2018?
2019, 2020 area.
2020. Yeah. So I saw a bunch of that, and then like the trailer kind of spoiled a lot of it because like she's praying in the trailer and the water's going up, and I'm like, she can control the weather. So like I wasn't that surprised, but I was like, it's pretty cool that she can actually do that. Like it's an anime. I'm not expecting it to be real life, But I thought it was really cool. I liked how the movie centers around them being kids, we talked about this with Beastars, and we'll talk about it more like in season 1, season 2 of Beastars. Like I was saying with like Beastars season 1, season 2, it focused, like you said, season 2 focused a lot on, like heavily on, that they're still kids in a grown-up world, right? And this movie, it's not the main theme of it, I think, but like it definitely focused around them being younger, obviously, than 18, like 15, 16 years old, and then trying to live in an adult world, and everyone telling them you can't do this because you're this old. You can't do this because you're underage. You can't just do this, and like you can't find a job. You can't do that. And like granted, they're kids. They shouldn't have to do that, but like their situation, of Hina having to live for Nagi and for herself because of her mom passing away, and then spoilers alert, and then also
real quick, I want to interject into there.
Of course.
How talking about kids and how like all the adults are telling them what they can and can't do, but even within the kid dynamic themselves, there's a real emphasis on age.
Yeah,
so like early on, Hina says, "Oh, I'll be 18 next month, so I'm the older one, right?"
Yeah,
he's 16.
So she's the more responsible one.
Yeah. But and then he finds out later that she's actually 15 and she's the younger one. He was super disappointed or upset by that in the older one.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, that's a difference of 1 to 2 years between both those ages.
Yeah.
Not that huge when you're under 20,
Yeah, I mean, Keisuke, the older dude that gives Hodaka a job, the one that saves his life on the boat. Even he says it like before we find out that he is actually 15 instead of 18. He says, that's only a difference of, when he says like, I think it says 15, 16, 17, it's all the same. Because when you're younger, that's all that matters is like, oh, I'm a year older, I'm a year younger. But like, me and you, our age difference doesn't matter anymore because like, I mean, you're older than me. You're my senpai. I'm not gonna call you my senpai. But
I don't know. And it's very possible you could be my senpai, as we saw in Weathering with You, that young kid.
No, I'm not lying. But I wrote down like against labor laws, because he can't work without like he needs ID to show that he can work. And also I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I have.
Please,
I'm trying to get all these emotions out. Okay, I'm just trying to get all these emotions out. There's a lot going on right now. Medicine's kicking in,
Oh, you want to talk about labor? You want to talk about labor laws?
Go ahead.
So off of what we said last week, or when I asked you about the dating between that one girl, and you were like, "Oh, well, it could be this and that," but also in Japan, the age of consent is 13.
Yeah, right? We talked about that.
So when you said talk about labor laws, they're worried about ID. You can't work. You can't do all stuff. So you're telling me, 14-year-old can't have a job, can't take care of herself, can't live on her own, but she can get married and have a child. Possibly it's at such a young age.
Can you get married at 13 though?
You said that the age of consent was 13. I assume that means you can get married.
You would assume, right?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is a distinction between a relationship and getting married, but still, a 13-year-old can have a grown-up relationship essentially, but she can't do any of those other things on her own. Fine. I mean, that's kind of a surprise to me. It's kind of like now, you can go to, depending on what state you're in, I guess. You can go to war at 18, but you can't drink until you're 21.
Okay, so it's not the same. It's not. So like I just looked it up. This is a quick Google search. No one hold this to me. But at present, people must be 20 years old to marry without parental permission. With parental permission, men can marry from 18. Girls can marry as young as 16. But you can be 13 to agree to the nasty. That's so weird. So weird. That doesn't make sense at all, does it?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
That is odd. But,
whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so going forward, I wanted him to find out why did he move there. I still didn't know by the end of the movie, but I looked it up and found out. Do you know why?
No, I actually did not look that up.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Think about this, right? When he's on the boat and he meets Keisuke, and Keisuke saves his life, right? What's all over his face?
Isn't he scratched up?
He has bandages and like scratches and bruises, right?
Right.
Apparently, don't know if this is true or not, but he gets beat up constantly from his parents, and he rather be starving and homeless in Tokyo than be beat up at home anymore. Makes sense why he left.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
So, remember when he's riding that bike, following that light?
Yep.
I think he's following that light because, and like he has all those bruises all over his face and everything. He's following that light because he can't deal with the parent abuse anymore.
Makes sense.
Who let that kid on a boat, though? You know what I mean?
He made it very far, and he kept saying something I found was odd on my second viewing is, you know how he kept saying like Tokyo sure is scary or Tokyo sure is awesome.
Yeah.
He said that sort of repeatedly, but he was very calm the entire time. I don't know if you had any thoughts around that.
Like, what do you mean calm? Like
he was just deadpan, like Tokyo sure is awesome or Tokyo sure is crazy or scary.
You mean that montage of when...
Yeah, that montage, yeah, and like how he didn't seem scared when he said it was scary. He didn't seem super excited when he said it was awesome. I don't know if it's just I'm seeing something that's in there.
But... Well, I think that he doesn't think about his consequences enough. You know what I mean? So I think that he has a thought in his head and he acts on that thought without thinking about consequences. So I think he never, in his mind, you know, like he hasn't matured enough to think about the consequences and stuff like that. He just acts on impulse, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm not sure about you.
I can see that. I think we saw that. Well, one, the kid is braver than I would ever be. The fact that he would run away to a major metropolis and just be so comfortable.
Yeah,
we saw on the street or living in that way, trying to find a job. I couldn't do that.
No.
I tried to run away from home for about 30 minutes.
What you did?
Winter. Not really, but not really. So like, okay. I said I'm going to ride my bike to a friend's house and I'll come back later. And
it was bold Lance.
Yeah, and of course we lived out. Really live in the country, but by comparison, we lived in the
rural area.
Yeah, rural area. Oh. And so, so a bike ride was not. It's not like it was a 5-minute bike ride down the street. Like I had to go into town, and it was winter, and it was late at night, and so I don't remember how long I was out for. But if I went back home. I remember visually what location I said, screw it, I'm turning around. But I gave up. I could not push past the cold.
So your parents didn't know one way or the other that you actually tried to run away?
No, they knew. So
they did?
But they called my bluff. They called my bluff because it was winter, it was late,
How old were you?
It was cold. I think I was 15. I was either 15 or 16. If I was 16... Okay.
Or age.
I'm trying to think. I think I might have been the reason why, because I want to say I was probably 16 because I think maybe the fight was around. Took my car away, and I was upset.
Had to be 16 then, right? Had to be 16.
Yeah. So and then I had to ride a bike.
15. Yeah.
Yeah. They called my bluff, and I didn't make it very far, and I came back home with my tail between my legs. So
love it.
Already, Hodaka is much braver than I am.
Yeah, he made it pretty long.
But, go ahead.
Something else. He gives Rain, the cat, food when he's starving, which I thought was commendable, however stupid. Then, bro, he finds a gun in the trash can when he gets knocked over, and like he's like, one of those packages. Toy. No, he's like, let me, take this package. I have no idea what's in it. Put it in my bag, go to my local Mickey D's, and then open the thing. Like, what? No, open it right there. It's like, oh, it's a gun. Put it back in the trash and go home.
Yeah, I really appreciated. So when we first see him use the gun, I really appreciate how
that was insane. I was like, oh my goodness.
Did not like I appreciate how that didn't get blown over. It's like, oh yeah, you shot a gun. No, they were like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why did you could have killed him? Yeah, I really appreciated the emphasis.
Yeah, Hina like telling him like, bro, think about your consequences, and then and that's like where I go back to early Hodaka doesn't think about consequences. He's thinking solely in the moment, and he's like, what can get me out of the situation? Not like, how will this affect the rest of my life? You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is crazy. And then like the foreshadowing when he has the gun, and then like Hina makes him realize you're an idiot, and then he throws the gun against the wall up in the thing below the shrine room, and how that comes back into play later on at the end. I'm like, it's still here. It makes so much sense. I don't know.
Well, him throwing the gun. First off, you don't throw.
You
a gun.
You don't throw guns. No. Have you ever like fired a gun before?
Yeah, I own 2.
Oh, you own 2? Nice.
Yeah.
I don't own any for other reasons, but
I mean, keep them keep them put up
of course
in a safe location. And only time I haven't gotten them out in years now, but the only time I ever got them out was when I was going to the range. But I remember, like, even before I was shown how to use one,
you knew it wasn't a toy.
I knew it wasn't a toy. Like, I was like, oh my, if I screw, I've never been so stressed. Like, I'm like, because I'm afraid, what if I jerk or move or and accidentally hurt somebody. So I was super focused on, this is where I'm pointing this. Nobody is in line of sight. That's the target. And so, it's not a toy. You don't. And another thing that you learn is, even if you know a gun isn't loaded, never point a gun at somebody.
Of course.
Because you never want to get into the habit of just thinking that's okay. Because what if it is loaded and you thought it wasn't? You could accidentally hurt somebody. So
of course, yeah. This has been your local dare announcement from Jason Lance. But yeah, I thought that was really cool foreshadowing for later and when we talk about it. But I like how it makes you think that he might have shot him. And like, I mean, actually, he shot the gun, and like, and you see the guy like just stay there, like still, and then he falls back, and I'm like, is there gonna be blood popping out soon, or like, is he cool?
More likely, he just lost his hearing because
it's right there. Yeah.
It's right next to your ear. Like, I'm surprised he can still hear. They're not quite, even with earplugs. It's just
and then the foreshadowing with Nagi on the bus, and like one girl leaves and then the other girl gets on the other side of the bus and is like, Nagi, and and he's like, what a player. He's so uncomfortable by that situation. But Nagi's like, yeah, that's who I am.
And how he later on is like giving him like, hey, if you want to date my sister, you need to be more of like a man.
I know, right?
That's what I'm saying. Age doesn't matter. You can be any age and still be make good decisions or be a mature adult. So
yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It has a lot to do with maturity, and consequences. I think. And then you find out more about Natsumi, and then they write about conspiracy theories, which I thought was pretty funny and pretty cool.
Go
ahead.
Did you have the same reaction? So, like, led to believe that Natsumi is guy's girlfriend.
Oh, Keisuke's girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah. And then we find out later it's his niece.
I know.
Like, you pervert.
Yeah.
You actually thought that? Yeah,
and then I always like that. Natsumi's like, we're staring at my boobs. He's like, I'm not doing that. But yeah, they make you lead to believe that it's his mistress. But like, I think from the beginning, I knew like they weren't gonna make this guy. He's cold sometimes and like seems heartless, but like he is compassionate and nice on the inside. So I didn't think they're gonna make him be that way. And I know the reason why he was depressed and sad all the time and like serious all the time is because of something that happened in his past, which we find out it did, and like he had a choice of going down one path versus the other, and slowly throughout the course of it, Hina and Hodaka's relationship changes into that fact that he needs to make other decisions for his daughter. I finally wrote down Hodaka's name, because for the first 30 minutes I had no idea what the guy's name was. so I wasn't paying attention. So I wrote it down, circled it, started it.
You just gotta be like more like me. Just take in the whole experience. Just let it wash over you. Don't actually pay attention to the details. Just
Yeah, just take it all in.
yeah.
One thing I did have written down is when she's using her powers or whatever, does the water have to go somewhere? Does the rain have to go somewhere? You know what I mean? So like if it's going away for a second, does it have to come back even harder?
Maybe. I mean, eventually towards the end, you do start seeing flooding, and so
Yeah.
like little, not as bad as where it went, but yeah, we see some flooding. So perhaps maybe that's the consequence of her. The longer she goes without sacrificing herself, because in this universe,
I mean, totally. I mean that's totally the thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to mention this, and this is going to make me seem odd, perhaps, but I really love the rain. So both
That's like
in the beginning, in the middle, and where the end happened, I would have been 100% okay with it all. I did not bother me. Obviously, there would be some possible adapting to a new environment that I'd have to learn, but just
that's a whole movie.
But
no, I mean,
I would have been okay with it. They're all like, "Oh man, this is so sad and upsetting."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Please stop!" I would have paid her not to bring sunshine.
Quit making
out.
sunshine happen. I'm trying to act broody and depressed. No, but like, when I was watching it, I was just thinking like, the whole movie is pretty much raining. But like I was thinking like, wow, this is the Lance paradise right here. It's rain all the time. I really thought that.
Really is.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is probably what Seattle is every day.
Minus the flooding. I don't know. Maybe eventually. Tokyo, they said, was what 200 years of evolution to get from a lake to a city. So maybe it will revert back to.
And no. So like that's really what happened at the end, right? Like that's the premise of there's always a Sunshine Girl, like overall, and she always sacrifices herself over the last 800 years or whatever, like the Edo period, because in the Edo period, Tokyo was under a bay, like it was all like a lake or a bay. So there's always been a Sunshine Girl, and she has always sacrificed herself for everybody else, and that I think deals with the choice this time. And and then I'll just say this while I'm thinking about it, because what I wrote down at the very end was, I don't think it's the idea about having the right choice or making the right or wrong choice. I think it's living with the consequences of that choice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think because really ultimately with any choice that you make, it's the consequence that matters, because there could be a consequence that only affects you. There could be a consequence that affects others and you, or just others. That's really where if anyone has like a disagreement or a fight, it's around the consequence. It's around the result of that choice, not necessarily the choice itself. So I like that idea.
And about living with their choices that you make. And like, I was also, thinking about this aspect of it too. Like, there's always a Sunshine Girl. There's always a girl that sacrificed herself for Tokyo and for the world and not changing it. But Hodoka chooses Hina over over Tokyo and over the world and changes it. And like the last part of it is him coming to grips with that consequence and finally understanding to live with his choice. But he makes a good point, or I thought like he implied a good point, is like if Hina didn't choose herself and if Hodoka didn't choose Hina, then eventually another Sunshine Girl is going to choose herself, and then someone else is going to choose her, and it's going to happen anyways. So why not start with Hina? It's going to happen eventually because it's a cycle, and someone has to break that cycle, and it's going to revert back to when it was before. So
it's very interesting. I didn't notice in the movie. Was this sort of experience specific to Tokyo, or was this like a globe, like a?
I think it's Tokyo.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think it was Tokyo.
I don't
I
remember
don't
if there
know.
was any. It did seem like only Tokyo was affected by the flooding, not where Utica came from.
Yeah.
So perhaps it was just Tokyo. I was just curious if the Sunshine Girl phenomenon or mythos was specific to that area, or if it was implied that it was supposed to be a global phenomenon.
No, I think it was just Tokyo because it dealt heavily with the culture of it and the dragon and the whale. But
I have to ask you. So
sure,
you name cameos.
I know your name cameos. I was
What
like,
did you think?
like, like, um, Tokagachi or whatever. Like that. I was watching with subtitles. But it was English. I like watching English with subtitles as
I
well
hate
as
you.
Japanese. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. That's what I'm saying. But um, I saw that. I'm like, huh, that last name sounds very familiar. And then like you see the silhouette of him like facing his grandma, and like it's like
uh,
Taki, and like, huh, that's Taki. Like, what's he doing here? But I thought that was so cool. And then it's like, I wonder what Mitsuha's doing. And like, 30 minutes later, he's getting a ring, and then
yeah,
the sales lady is like, it spoiled it for myself because it's like Mitsuha saying this, and I'm like, Mitsuha,
yeah.
Mitsuha's here too, and
Was she
like,
also on her name tag? If you didn't notice,
yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
it
notice
says
that.
Mitsuha.
No,
Yeah, yeah, she has
I
a
didn't
name
notice that.
tag.
It was in Japanese. It was in English.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, so
oh,
yeah, it was Mitsuha. Yeah, it wasn't in Japanese. It was in English. So
oh, weird. Maybe it's because it's Tokyo, and I don't know. But I thought it was really cool that Taki and
uh,
Mitsuha's there. But then that got me thinking, if it's in the same universe or timeline, have they
it's
met yet?
not in the same timeline.
It's not in the same time. I
It's
looked it
not
up
so.
too.
So yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
if the we know that the events of your name still happen,
Hmm.
but the events of Weathering with You is what decides on which timeline
Yeah.
happens because when they meet, your
It's not
name
rain. It's not raining.
not raining.
Yeah, so it's a different timeline, different reality, whatever you want to call
Oh,
it. But like chronologically, I looked it up. Weathering with You, when they're deciding if Hina needs to come back or if Hina needs to sacrifice herself, that is 1 year before they meet on the steps on your name. I'm assuming you looked it up too.
I
But
did.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
that was my first question. Was wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is this the same universe? Like, what's the timelines here?
Yep.
And it's just very interesting how they how I do you think that was intentional? Do you think that the your name cameos was just cameo and it's not really the same universe or even an alternate timeline, or do you think that this was intentionally positioned in this time frame to show a distinction between the events of your name and another possible outcome? Do we
Um,
are we going to get maybe a movie that takes place in the post Weathering with You?
I think so. I mean, it makes sense, like to deal with those consequences.
Mm.
To lean heavily on that second movie again is living with those consequences. I think it would make sense to make it. It 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 falls up to the Bay Area and how that choice affected other people and like the new protagonist. That'd be kind of cool actually if they did that. I mean, he's working on the director and creator. He's working on a third movie now. Like he has storyboards open and everything that he posted last year. So I think that'd be a cool concept. And on the storyboards, there's a bunch of boats. So
Hmm.
maybe
Perhaps. How dare he? How dare he take large gaps? I'm so upset
it
because
does take
your
a
name
while.
came out in 2016. Weathering with You came out in 2020 or 2019,
We only got
and
three
then
more
he's gonna
years.
like take what 3-4 years to make this next
Yeah,
movie. I need content now. Okay, I need this experience yearly.
yeah, I deserve it. Yeah, I'm a straight
Because I
white
paid
male.
money.
I'm a straight white male, and I deserve it.
So
um,
good, and that's I think
yeah,
it was frustrating for me. I love when I find something new that gives me that kind of experience, but I hate when I'm late to the party because that means
early.
early to the party
Yeah,
because then that means I have to wait so much longer for the next thing to come out versus
that's
if
what
I
I'm
was
saying.
late to the party, then I could get it one
You
right
know,
after the other.
we're in the middle of like, well, actually, we're in the beginning of the big anime craze and anime and manga, like era, because before 2000. there's only the classic animes of like, you know, Naruto was after 2000, so we had DBZ and Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and like Inuyasha, but like, you know, they're all really old, and there's only a handful of them. You know, now like everywhere you look, there's new anime popping up, there's new movie, there's new TV show. You know, we should have started this podcast in 2030. We should have had so much more content to talk about. But I like the experience, you know, and I hope this podcast lasts for a while because, you know, we can grow with all the anime and like, you know, see it like come to fruition by 2030, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to learning more and sort of experiencing new content that I might not have discovered on my own. You know, I have Tori who can introduce me to new stuff, and I kind of I'm more aware of it now. But like, it's very possible. Like you just recommended a movie to me that we're gonna watch here. Don't remember what it's called, but it's the Tiger, Jose Tiger, and
oh yeah, the one that's in theaters, right?
Is it still in theaters?
I don't think so anymore. But
oh no, I would never have come across that. I mean, eventually I might have come across it, but I wouldn't have learned about it so fresh, like how it's out right now or going to be out soon. If not for you. So I'm looking forward to it.
If it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have known anything about it either. My wife is the one that actually showed it to me and, you know, sent it to me.
Oh.
So thank you. Okay. So thank you for wives, right? I did write down they're making a lot of money too easily. So that's got to stop. When they're doing the Sunshine Girl business, I'm like, there's no way they can sustain this.
Would you have done that? Would you have I guess yeah, if you could control the weather, would you go like, oh yeah,
of course I would charge money. Look at me. I'm a salesperson. Of course I'm going to charge money. I charge more money. I would have started off charging 20,000 yen.
What's the conversion on that? Because I think
it's like $3 less. So like 30,000 yen is like $272. So like $3 less. Like of like I don't know.
So wait, okay.
Take away some zeros.
Real quick. What did that? Because I don't remember the names. I'm not going to try to pretend like I can.
Mm-hmm.
The grumpy old guy.
Grumpy old guy.
How much did he pay?
Oh, at the flea market?
Yeah. Oh, no. The journalist. How much did he pay?
He paid 3,000 yen, which translates to $27.12.
Yeah. He paid him. Yeah, 27.25 is what it's 25. Yeah.
That's insane. That's
month.
Definitely. But granted, he got lodging, he got food, and he had, you know, heating and cooling. So it's a sweet deal.
Is it? Because $28 is nothing to pay for. Like, what are you gonna buy? $28 in your own spare time.
He could buy life because he gets to live. I see it from the business aspect of it.
That's fair. Yeah, it's still slave labor, but no,
it definitely is. But then at the end, you know, he pays his
severance.
How many 10,000 yen did he give him? Like 5 of them.
Yeah. I think. So what is that? 50,000 yen to it's like $200 or something like that.
No, that's 470, right? Dollars.
Yen to USD. $154.
How much?
450. If you gave him 50,000 yen as severance.
Oh, 50,000 yen. Okay.
$454.
I was right. Wait, no.
I'd say like 400 something.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's right. I'm just taking $3 minus it.
Which makes me think to myself, if that kid can like live in a hotel, buy your room service and like snacks.
I mean, that was for one night, man.
Still, how cheap is it?
Well, she said it was 280 yen, right? For one night,
a night,
like per night.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. Did she say 280 yen?
Because
that's like
maybe
that's like $2 and something.
Yeah.
What? That makes no sense. She gotta say 2,800 yen. She gotta say that, right?
Still though, like 2,800 yen is what? Like it's like $25 a night.
That's better. I think she meant that. I don't know. I don't think she meant $2.
Still though, like if I got paid $450 and like 25 bucks a night, that's
Yeah.
quite a while. And then and by that comparison, the
And then,
food
and then
that he was seeing in
yeah,
the fridge,
yeah.
I wasn't anywhere close to 20, 100 yen. It was like 100,
No,
200, 300 yen.
yeah.
So like it was dirt cheap.
Yeah. I don't
You
know.
know,
I'd have to rewatch it because I can't remember. Yeah, but I was gonna be like, this weather is gonna take her. Like I thought when she got swooped up and flying, I thought it was like, oh, she's gone. And the last half of the movie's gonna be her getting her back.
and she was just kept. What was she just sleeping?
What do
And
you mean?
that like when Hodaka jumps into the shrine and ends up
Oh yeah,
wherever.
yeah. I think she just gave up on life, obviously, because she's
Okay,
sort
well
of dead.
yeah,
Not really. The fish were just eating her.
they weren't eating her. They
I feel
when
like
she
they
was
were
laying in like she was laying in a grassy patch, and I was just wondering,
on top
was she
left.
asleep or was she like just just laying there, just wondering what is she gonna do? Like I guess if that happens, what do you do for the rest of your life? You like 'cause
You
you're
lay
no
there.
longer in the earthly plane. I don't know how else to phrase it. You're in some otherworldly dimension. But what does she just do? Just lay in grass for the rest of her life? I mean, that's kind of cruel.
Yep. Just let's
Not
lay
only
in
do you
grass. Well,
sacrifice your friends and family, but then you just are alone.
wait, yeah. So like the other Sunshine Girls, are they just on different clouds, just laying there?
Yeah. So like that's like an added punishment. I would have on principle, I would have said, no, I'm not sacrificing myself. I'm not going to go twice cursed, once with loneliness and the other one with
Which And it's a good thing you bring up that point because I also think the movie deals with individuality and having and showing that the individual is just as important as the society. And like
Hmm.
self-sacrifice is good to a point until it, harms yourself. No,
Yeah.
harms yourself or harms the people that care about you.
I think self-sacrifice is so
Overrated.
that makes it that, yeah, well, it's overrated. It's romanticized is what I was going to
It
say.
really is.
And I get it. It's not very entertaining for a character to not make those in certain contexts not make those decisions.
Yeah.
It can subvert expectations, but yeah, I think it's overrated. I don't think.
Bro, she pulled a Sue Storm too, blowing up that truck. That was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like oh my, is this Thor?
That's what I was thinking too.
But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see a movie that I'm a romantic. I love romance movies. I love rom-coms. I'm that kind of guy. But
You gotta watch all those ones I recommend, and then you got
I
to.
will.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good.
I would love, I think, a movie to just really hinge on realism, really just subvert those sort of entertainment expectations. It probably would not be a satisfying movie,
Probably not.
but it would probably be like I think I would enjoy it more just because it subverted my. I like things subverting my expectations. I hate being able to predict. That's why when I go into most movies, I really try to suspend all disbelief.
Yeah.
Even because if I really am trying to look hard, I'm sure I could find a lot of like clues that will tell me what the end is. So I try to like just completely be blind to it all and just take in the experience
as it comes. Yeah.
Yeah. So and because of that, I was able to enjoy some movies that a lot of people aren't able to enjoy because like, oh man, it was such a bad story and the ending was so predictable. Well, yeah, you went in looking for every single clue. And trying to spoil it for yourself, like just sit back to it's a popcorn movie. Just enjoy while you're there. Don't try to like dissect everything. There is a time and place to dissect, entertainment, whether it be a book, a movie, artwork, whatever. And then there's a time just to sit back and just take it all in and enjoy what they're trying to tell you in that moment.
It's funny that you said that a realistic movie and like deals with realistic things and like not supernatural things and stuff like that, because I immediately thought of A Silent Voice, that deals with that kind of stuff, and like
Yeah, Silent Voice pulled no
it
punches.
No, it deals with realistic, like, themes and mature content and like consequences, really too. I thought that was really cool. We'll talk about that later too.
Oh man, you got me started. I was gonna
go ahead.
No,
we'll talk about it a little bit.
And the way that the characters interact with each other, like the type of words that they use, the phrasing, the way they sort of like the awkwardness around certain topics or situations. It's very real. It's very like I think almost every situation that occurred in that movie. I can think of a real life scenario where I was on both sides of those occurrences, and could very vividly remember what I felt like they're receiving those types of words or saying those types of words to somebody else. And it was just that's what made it so good and so uncomfortable to watch, is because it was so grounded.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you hear a recording of your voice and you go, oh man, do I really sound that way? Because of what you're hearing is so different. It's kind of like that. Like, watching it was so grounded that I was like, is this really how I sounded, or is this really what happened to me? Like, from a outsider point of view, like, so uncomfortable but so enjoyable at the same time. Anyway, we'll talk about it later, but I just
I'll name this I'll name this episode of Silent Weather. Is that better? When they're all in the suite, right, and they're all in the hotel, and like they finally slump down and like release a sigh of relief because they got away, right? Like not Taki, dang it, Hodaka, Hodaka, not your name. This is one with you. Hodaka's like, they're happy and like, please don't take this away. Like, they're happy even if they are kids, and like, obviously no one else sees it besides us as the viewer because we watched all this unfold. They've been doing perfectly fine as kids. They're happy. They're not sad. They're not stressed. I mean, they're stressed because they're trying not to get caught. But like, on one aspect of them, I'm like, they're kids, and the grown up in me is like, they need help and they need protection and stuff like that. But on their half of me as like a viewer, and once being a kid, because we all used to be kids, they're happy. Don't take that away from them. You're just trying to separate them, so I'm torn between being a parent and being, a former kid, obviously. So I thought that was really, really cool. And like the train scene when he's running along the tracks kind of portrayed that to me anyways, was, he's running along the train and all the people watching him are like, obviously we know that we're watching it, and we're like, we know the reason why he's running along the tracks to save Hina, but every adult watching is like, what's that kid doing? That's dangerous. Someone stop him. You know what I mean? Like that. So it's a dynamic between that stuff, I feel like.
How did you feel the adults, at least the system that we see kind of playing out in this scenario of runaway kids, how did you feel that it was handling it? If you were to subtract what you know about the characters and what they're going through, and you were just to look at it like, this is the system trying to resolve an issue that these kids are experiencing, how did you feel that they were handling that?
Repeat the question.
How did you feel like the social care workers, the police officers, all those adults that were trying to, like, these are runaway kids.
Yeah.
We need to resolve the issue of them being homeless or runaways. How did you feel like they were handling? So let me say that I feel like if you're trying to resolve kids running away, or child homelessness, or any of those types of issues, you don't want to approach it from it. You don't want to scare them.
Exactly.
Right? And like, there's one cop in particular that just seemed like a dick the whole time.
The pompadour dude.
Yeah, the pompadour dude. It was just like a real dick, and like, I get that you're probably annoyed, like these children just aren't listening to you, but you're not
hearing them out because they're
hearing them out,
kids.
or because they're kids. You're not
Yeah,
trying to,
understand.
it's kind of not cliche, but it's sort of
It really is. It's things that me and you, like, even without thinking about it, since we're adults now, like when we listen to plights of kids, sometimes like my immediate thought is like they are ungrateful or they're like spoiled or privileged. That's my immediate thought sometimes.
um
Sometimes.
I I think
Toughie.
I don't know if I have the spoiled or I usually like if a kid honestly for me, I am more inclined to blame the adult than
Yeah.
I am the kid if a kid acts a certain way that is inappropriate. Um or upsetting or annoying or whatever, I think that's not their fault because child is only knows what he sees, what he's told, and what he hears. So if all the three of those things are negative in right, not giving structure, not teaching them how to behave, not get carrying to some unfulfilled need. And the kid, of course, the kid's going to act out. Of course, the kid's going to be irresponsible or annoying or frustrating because the parent isn't doing anything to
Yeah.
prevent that. Like I'm more side on the child than anything. Now, if it was an 18-year-old acting like a piece of shit, then no. It's, I mean, yeah, you have a dwindling length of time before you can
Yeah.
stop blaming someone else for your troubles, and you need to start
Yeah. True.
owning your decisions, your choices.
Well,
Uh,
I would say that you're better than most adults then, because I don't think most adults have that outlook. Well,
well,
I would say blame the parents, yeah, for sure. But like when it comes back to, I think you were saying, um, oh yeah, like saying that they're not, hearing the adults not hearing the kids out or like being understanding and stuff like that. I think most regular like adults that I don't know, not like most people in authority, maybe I don't know. It's just they don't see it that way.
yeah, no, it's definitely there. Like I remember as a kid, and when something would happen in like at school, right? And it was the teacher that they listened to. What did the teacher
Yeah,
say? Not
exactly.
not what happened to you. This is what the teacher told me.
Mhm.
Um, and so I would think that most adults are going to trust other adults, right?
Yeah.
It's because there's some shared experience there. So they're like, oh well, clearly they know as an adult
Hmm.
what's supposed to be. Trust them, and it's completely dismissing the point that adults can be just as shitty as kids. Like
Yeah, of course.
yeah, just because you're an adult does not mean you have some overarching omniscience, right? You don't know everything that's right. You're not. You are still subject to making mistakes. Um, so
I
yeah,
think
I'm
I think
more side of the child.
I think Keisuke handled Hodaka the best because he wasn't forceful or anything like that. He gave like a nonchalant like attitude towards him,
Mhm.
where he was able to hear like, and obviously I don't think Keisuke really cared that much at the beginning, but over the course of the movie, he was able to understand what he was going through, and then at the very end help him against the other adults. You know what I mean? He was a pitiful moment of helping him get Hina back.
Well, and they kind of said this. The niece said this that they're like the younger and older versions of each other.
Yes, she said that a lot
Yeah,
actually.
it makes me wonder, like, is he just as like? Well, they said he ran away to Tokyo. He was
Hmm.
young. Had
Yeah,
his
he did.
wife there.
Yeah.
Fell
So
madly in love.
like
Had a
so at the end when Hodaka's holding the gun against everybody, um, and then Keisuke's like, "Why are you doing this?" Stuff like that, and then like, and then Hodaka's like, "You don't understand," and like him crying and like expressing such passionate feelings towards Hina. I think Keisuke is like, "I just want to see her again." That Hodaka said. I think he ties that back into seeing his wife again. So I think that's eventually what throws him over the edge to helping him and getting
He
arrested.
just goes in and punches that cop.
Yeah, I was
then,
like, "Thank you, God." You punched that cop in the face.
And then that senpai child just runs out there and like, stop, and he knocks that other cop over.
Yeah, no.
I was like, you have to fix
Nagi,
this.
yeah. Get my sister back. Yeah.
I wish I was as much of a player as that kid was at such a young age. Yeah,
such a player. One girl leaves the bus, one girl gets on the bus. They're both mine.
Oh man.
But that kind of ties the movie up, right? I mean, I talked about everything that I want to talk about. I mean, you find out she's 15 and like he starts to understand like she can't hold all of the responsibility on her shoulders. He has to help out too.
I had a couple things. I was trying to focus on what you wrote down, but
that's all I got, by the way.
A couple things real quick. Do you feel like the grandma that we see when she's like she has asthma and she can't go outside, have you quit smoking? And she's like,
the kid, his daughter. Okay,
yeah. Did you feel like the dynamic there was kind of similar to how the adults were? Like, there's always an adult older than you who's talking down to you and saying you don't know what you're doing or you're not listening.
Yep.
I kind of always rose downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to mention that, and if you had any thoughts on it. And then the other last thing I had was after months of her, obviously we've seen her pray and sunshine comes out and the rain goes away. There's still adults who are like, oh yeah, that's just bullshit. Like, are you kidding me?
It's always a coincidence.
It's always a coincidence. Like, it's a lot of coincidences. I mean, I'm a skeptic myself, but there even I would start questioning reality if I saw this child and every time she clasps her hands like this, the weather just changed. I'd be like, okay,
it's a little too many coincidences.
Yeah. If you had any thoughts on those two things?
So the first thing would be, I think it ties in a lot. How she sees him as a deadbeat, and like not fit to take care of her. But I guess on the other side of that, like it does tie into it, but she's kind of right at the beginning of it, and then because like he lives in trash, don't want his daughter to live in trash, and then at the end, everything changes once he helps Hodoka get Hina back, and like at the end, he's actually in an office. He actually has 2 workers working there with him, and like he's doing well and doing better. So I don't think it ties in crazy amount, but like at the very beginning, it kind of ties into, there's always adult older than you, and they don't take you seriously. The second part, what was the second question?
Do you maybe I didn't really ask a question. I just more brought up a topic.
Yeah.
People were still surprised at like they're like, oh yeah, that's bullshit. It's a coincidence.
You know what's funny? Like you say that, and like a lot of people I feel like did think that, but when it comes down to it, they always post it on there as like, hey, I'll hire you to do this, just because deep down I think they either know or like they want any hope possible, and if it works, it works. Even the fireworks festival people was like, yeah, hire her. She's hired.
We can't postpone this another week, so
yeah. I don't know, but it was the whole movie was great. I think so. It was a great movie.
I'll tell you the moment I cried, or when I first teared up, and is when real inflection in the music when Hodoka is floating through the sky and he's like, "Don't let go, Hina," and he's like, "I choose you." They're like,
yep,
like the music just picks up. Yeah, that's when I was like, "Oh my god, he's doing this!" So
yeah, I know. Oh god, that was so good too, man. And like when they let go, like when they're falling and they let go for a second, I was like, "No, grab her back." Yeah. But yeah, overall,
did you do that?
What?
Would you?
I would pick.
If you were in that, if you were
my wife over everybody else, yeah, totally. I would totally pick my wife over everyone else.
Okay, so your wife is someone that you met years ago.
Yeah,
dated for a while, then got married, and you've been married for a while.
Yeah.
You girl that you met essentially like 2-3 months ago, you kind of liked. Um, would you go through all that? Would you?
It depends, I
I would
guess.
say that I probably, knowing how I was at that age, yeah, I
Oh,
probably would have
oh,
100%
okay.
done exactly what he was
If it
saying, or what
was
he
it
did.
was me at that age,
Yeah.
hands down, 100%, I'd probably kill someone.
You would have
No,
just shot the guy. You would have actually shot the
yeah,
guy.
movie would have ended right there. Been in jail the rest of my life.
But no, yeah,
No,
I was just
but
wondering
yeah,
if at 16. Yeah.
yeah, I think I totally would have. Knowing me back then, I was a hopeless romantic. Everything revolved around girls. Yeah, I totally would have done it. Totally, no second.
I was that impulsive and emotional at 16. And I think
Yeah,
part of the reason why I'm not so much now is because I just sort of, it's like, for me,
it's funny your
being that
wife
emotional.
gets. It's funny your wife
Huh.
gets that. It's funny your wife gets that part of you now. You don't. There's no romance, nothing like that anymore. You just get Lance.
Well, okay, so I think now I have a definitely more weighted view of the world, and so
Yeah.
I would say I'm just totally devoid of romance. But when I was that age, me being that emotional was like hitting your head against a brick wall over and over again and not getting anywhere. And I think I
Yeah,
just
it's
got
true.
tired, exhausted. I'm like, this is a lot of work, and it's over everything. Everything is a crisis, and so
Yeah,
say
it's true.
when I say things now are more weighted for me, I try to really and it's a practice of patience. I try to like, what is going on? Is this worth putting my all into?
Hmm.
Right? And if it is, then that part of me that's so emotional comes instantly out. I'm gonna go 100% into what I need to get this done. Not everything deserves that, and so maybe. So yeah, maybe on a outsider's perspective, I might seem devoid of romance and just this cold hearted asshole. But like, it's really
Yeah.
just more of a more calculated decision. Like, when am I going to sort of unchain part of me and let it go, and when do I need to keep it in check? Because otherwise, I'm just going to constantly be tripping over myself. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of my transition into who I am now.
Nice. I think that's a good spot to end at. We've been talking for an hour and a half. It's pretty long time.
Oh wow,
Bro, it's been a
okay.
while, man. But yeah, we'll end it there. What are we gonna talk about next time, Lance? I have no
Uh,
idea.
we want to do. Do you think you can get through season 2 of Beastars?
In a week?
Or yeah, in a week.
No.
Okay, so I have a movie. I'd say we should watch Summer Wars.
What's Summer Wars?
Summer Wars was the first anime movie I ever watched. So actually,
Oh,
even though Your Name was probably the most impactful, Summer Wars was the first one that I watched after I watched Madoka Magica.
okay.
And that was sort of, I thought it was a great movie at the time. So Your Name really
At the
just
time.
at the
At the time, I
time.
thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, no. It is a good
Expectations.
movie. At the time, Summer Wars was like, I think the best. Um, is the best way
Don't
to
say
get
the
someone.
best. I was
No,
saying,
no,
don't
no,
say the
no.
best
At the
movie you've
time, I thought it
seen.
was no. At the time, Your Name is what really prompted me to like chase anime and like get that sort of experience again.
Yeah.
If you, I would have said then that Summer Wars was that movie for me.
Okay. I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll watch it. We'll talk about that. Sounds good.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, that's been this week of Anime Fix. Next week, as you have just heard, we will discuss Summer Wars as I figure out what that's about. Alrighty, guys.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Bye.